Marcus Spears. You see him every day, NFL Live on ESPN with Mina Kimes and Laura Rutledge, Marcus Spears, and then some quarterback, Marcus, that doesn't make as much sense as the rest of you
Orlovsky?
three. Yeah, Orlovsky. Yeah, that guy gets out there sometimes. Welcome to the show, Marcus. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, fellas, out here in Vegas. So I'm just struggling through every day.
Well, I know Dan I know Dan's a huge Matt Stafford guy because they played together in Detroit. I was going to ask you though, as good as Burrow has been in year 2, and Stafford finally getting an opportunity with the right coach and the right weapons, who do you think actually has the quarterback advantage going into Super Bowl 56?
I think it's the Rams right now because of the construction of the team, right? And you look at Joe, obviously we've talked about this offensive line forever, and he's overcome that. And I think it speaks to how great, his trajectory to greatness is. But I think it's Matt right now because of Odell Beckham Jr. and Cooper Kupp. And just the way that this team is built and formulated. Now, I fully expect this to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game down to the wire, barring, Aaron Donald doesn't just take absolutely over and dismantle this offensive line. But I would just say Matt, man, because he has to be the best guy in this matchup. He's already done more to kind of dismiss the narrative of who he was in Detroit, and we all know how bad the Lions were. And if you played against Matthew Stafford, you understood his talent level. But to go win a Super Bowl is what they banked on, what they betted on when him and McVay and Andrew Whitworth, my former teammate, had that little powwow in Cabo on accident. So I'm going to go with Matt's experience. I'm going to go with he has the better team right now. So I'm going to lean that direction with him performing the best out of these quarterbacks. Does that mean they're going to win? No, because the Bengals have won without Joe Burrow performing better than other quarterbacks throughout the course of this season. But I think Matthew Stafford has to be the best guy in this game if the Rams want to win.
You see NFL Live every day on ESPN at 3 o'clock Central here in the great state of Alabama as you tune in to watch that. And, of course, Ryan Clark, Mina Kimes, Laura Rutledge, Dan Orlovsky, and Marcus Spears, who's with us now on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. And Marcus, you're an LSU guy, and here's this dynamic Super Bowl combination of Burrow and Chase. You just don't see that happen a lot, right? Two guys who win a national championship together, throwing balls in a Super Bowl in the NFL.
Hey, man, they are phenomenal, and it just speaks to the rapport that, like, all of these, I say this all the time. When we start talking about quarterbacks and wide receivers, most of these stadiums you go in and you look up in the rafters, if they got a Hall of Fame receiver, it's a Hall of Fame quarterback, or vice versa. So I think both of those guys are trending towards that direction. They super young, but they don't blink, man. Like they just built a certain way, and that's a trait that you really don't find out about players until 4 years in the league. But Joe, obviously, people forget Joe Burrow is I think Joe is 24, so he's not a young guy, mature-wise. But being in your second year going to the Super Bowl is a major thing. And then Chase, man, Chase looks out there when he walks on the football field and there's a defensive back lined up across from him, he does not recognize that guy as being able to stop him. You're going to need more people is kind of his thing. So I think their rapport, their understanding, and they put time in away from football to understand each other and what the goals are for each other. So I think both of them have they transcended the we gonna go directly from college and continue to do the exact same thing in the NFL, which is difficult because you're playing against better players each and every Sunday. But those guys, they do not care about who's trying to defend them. They are going to find each other. And I think when you have somebody on the field like that, man, it just makes every game easier. It makes every plan easier to execute. And then when you're talking about the amount of talent that both of them have, Cincinnati in good hands for a long time if they do right up front and start to build around Joe and these weapons that they have.
I know in the college game you can play up the underdog role a lot. How big is that in the NFL, and how often can you go to that well? Because Cincinnati has done it a couple straight times. I mean, can Can you wear that badge all through the playoffs and it be a driving force for you?
Yeah, I think the difference in the pros and college is that those guys in Cincinnati don't feel that way. In college, you know when you're an underdog. You know when a team has better recruits, better guys. You know all of those things coming into the game. And we love college football because the shock of what takes place when a smaller tier team or a team that's not expected to win. In the NFL, man, and I've said this for a long time, there is very small margin between 1-15 and 15-1. And I know that's hard for people to hear, but as a player in that league for 9 years, every game that we review, we could find 3 or 4 plays that changed the course of it. And also in the NFL, man, it's not a lot of blowouts. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you look at NFL games each and every Sunday and you compare the amount of games that's won late in the third or the fourth quarter, it dominates the games that's over by the third or the fourth quarter. And then you have situations like Cincinnati went into Kansas City down 21-3, and they were able to come back because professional football players don't consider themselves or think of themselves as underdogs. Because by the time you get up there, man, you played against mostly all these guys coming throughout college. And you understand that the talent level, man for man, is not that great. In college, man, you got guys that's going to go be insurance guys after their last football game. And you got a guy that's going to be drafted first overall. In the NFL, everybody plays at a high level.
You know, people talk about the Achilles heel on this Cincinnati team is probably the offensive line. We saw the 9 sacks they gave up against Tennessee in that divisional round. You played the position. I know this might not be the fearsome foursome, but when you're looking at AD, you look at Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, and the way Greg Gaines is playing right now, it's pretty damn close.
Yeah. It's close, man, and they play so well together. I think, you know, with Joe, because his ability, like Joe is very, like, I don't think he's sneaky anymore, but everybody understands what type of athlete he is now. But those guys have kind of they've sacrificed for each other, for other guys to make plays. And obviously AD is going to get his on his own, but they play so well together. And Vaughn coming over, it took him a while to get going, and that was to be expected. But they have closers now. They are closers, man. So there is probably no comfort level more outside of probably the Dallas Cowboys defensive line when they had Micah DeMarcus, Randy Gregory, and Gallimore on the front line, that you think one of our guys are going to win. One of our guys are going to pressure the quarterback. And the Rams on third down situations and late in games between Vaughn and AD, they know those guys are going to win the majority of their one-on-one. And Gaines and Ashawn Robinson has changed the complexion of this defense because in the league, man, like this year in particular, you got to earn your way to rush the passer. And they stopped the run against San Francisco, and then we saw when those one-on-ones came, AD was stacking, causing Jimmy Garoppolo to throw an interception. Von Miller was pressuring, getting guys off their spot. So this will be the most difficult challenge. And I know people are like, Mark, you crazy. Tennessee sacked them 9 times. And I love all of those guys. Jeffrey Simmons in the Pro Bowl. I'm a big fan of his. Danico Autry, Harold Landry, all of those guys. Bud Dupree. Ain't none of them Aaron Donald, boss. And last week, Chris Jones had Joe Burrow in his grass and didn't get him on the ground. If 99 gets you in this grass, you're going to the ground. Yeah. And that'll be the difference, man. So they are going to have to be very creative, get the ball out of Joe's hands quickly, screen game, use Joe Mixon in this game, heavy doses at times, because this is a different animal coming after you this Super Bowl Sunday that's coming up.
Yeah, cutting through all the BS and a really kick-ass podcast is Marcus Spears and Kendrick Perkins, Swagoo and Perk. You can get that podcast right there. And coverage from the Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl with NFL Live. You'll be moving from Vegas to L.A. after the Pro Bowl this weekend, but in a couple of years, the Super Bowl's there in Vegas. Marcus, what do you think that town will be like for Super Bowl?
I don't know what it's going to be like, but I'm going to be like it. I'm going to be just like the town. I don't know what it's going to be like, but yeah, look, this place obviously understands hospitality and hosting, and I don't think anybody in their right mind. Man, I feel so blessed to be in this position to come. They put me up in a nice hotel. I get a chance to go in the studio, get a chance to hang around the players and stay close to the game. And Vegas does it right, man. Obviously, I'm biased to New Orleans. I think that's the best hospitality you can have for any event. But Vegas is a beautiful place, fellas, to come, and they always got a glass of yak somewhere around that I can take care of that night.
Hey, so leave a little money for me. I'm coming out in March for the basketball tournament, so save some for me.
Hey, if you win some, it'll be some of mine that I've lost.
Barkley told me the same thing Saturday.
That's
100%. Yeah.
He is Marcus Spears. You can follow him on Twitter at mspears96. Dunaway just told you everything you'd see Marcus on. We greatly appreciate the time, Marcus. Enjoy the next 2 weeks, man.
No problem, fellas. Y'all, hey, shout out to Birmingham, man, and Alabama. Y'all take care, man. Stop beating LSU so much.
That's not on us. That's on Saban. Thank you. He's your former coach. Just call him and tell him.
I know. We get along after football season is over.
Thank you, Marcus. Take care.
All right, fellas.
All right, buddy. Marcus Spears is with us there on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.